All right. Hello, everyone. Hope everyone is doing well.
You too, Greg.
Okay, well, I guess we'll go ahead and get started. Rao, are you ready to give the tech update?
Yes, I am. Give me 1 second. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, there's the link to the community update 142. Let me increase the screen size here so you can read. All right, so we have version 09.25.6 that's already published to GitHub. Gurinder is in the process of updating the nodes with that. And this is basically a bug fix release. We will be running the mainnet observers and the testnet all nodes, both the validators and the observers with 09.25.6. Shortly, currently they're running 09.25.5. And in parallel, Tomislav is working on releasing the 09.26 RC, which is basically the final version of 09.26, which is the last finalized state release. We had a little bit of a delay on that. I will speak to that. There was one bug that was holding us back. I'll speak to that in a little bit. But also, the last finalized state release would need some additional configuration on the nodes. Gurinder is taking care of that. And the net summary of that is that it should allow for a much faster catch-up of nodes to the latest blocks. So that's where we are. The 09.25.6 is the main dev version. 09.25.6 is the main dev version. And the 09.26 is the last finalized state release. And the other thing that we're doing right now, as it relates to releases, is that we're now combining these branches, getting the 09.25.6 merged into the last finalized state release, so that when the last finalized state release, which is 09.26, is ready, there'll be just that one branch that'll be published. And then separately, there is the block merge branch that the development is going on right now. So I'll speak to that a little bit. So where we are right now, the main focus is block merge, other than resolving this one issue in 09.26, last finalized state. And then so let me speak to the issue that we ran into with 09.26 release, which our expectation earlier was that it would be ready today to demonstrate by Tomislav to the community. But we ran into, in the last week or so, we had seen it before in the last 2 weeks, but especially the frequency seems to have increased in the last week, of a bug that was corrupting the database at the time of writing. Now, in the last few weeks, we had a whole bunch of things going on. We updated the LMDB version to the latest. We had many other dependencies updated. And then we had the IBM cloud infrastructure being updated. And the reason I mentioned that, normally I would not have talked about cloud infrastructure and data corruption in the same sentence, but we noticed that this corruption seems to occur when there is a little bit of a network hang, is the reason why. So, but in any case, there are all these different changes, and because they're intertwined, we're now having to go back a couple of versions and see really where this started to come into a more frequent existence or existence at all, and try to untangle those and resolve those. The first suspicion is, or the main suspicion is on the LMDB version update, because we had not seen this in the past, say before 09.25.3 release, we have not had this problem. So Tomislav is working through the various combinations that might be causing this, starting with backing out the LMDB versions and seeing if that resolves the issue, in which case that's simple. We just need to, we'll just stick with the older version of LMDB until and report this issue. But there, like I said, there are a couple of other intervening changes also that we made. And of course, there is the mere fact that we have been improving the code base and making changes. We have to make sure none of our changes have caused the bugs also. So that's kind of where we are in resolving that. But we feel that it's quite resolvable, and it's just that we need to work through these combinations to resolve that, and then we will have the 0926 release ready for people, for us to deploy on the mainnet and testnet, and for everybody else to play with. So that's where we are on that. As far as the main work, which our main focus, which is getting to block merge. So NotZipper had been working on the block merge piece, and Will had been working on the conflict resolution piece, and they're now beginning to combine their respective changes into the block merge base. There are a bunch of tests that need to be either written or modified to make sure that we can validate that the block merge is working as intended. So that activity is being done. And so at some point, we'll at least have the initial version of code base that combines the conflict resolution and the block merge. Now, as part of that, I mentioned earlier that the runtime manager is a big piece of that. So both NotZipper and Will are having to work or refactor a runtime manager, and we are again minimizing the refactoring needed. We're just sticking to whatever we need as a necessary piece, and then we are once we're done with block merge, we'll see where things are and how much more needs to be done. So that's where we are. On the dependencies, like I said last week, we had some significant dependencies completed. Where we are now is we're quite behind on the NetE update, but we cannot update NetE. And that NetE update basically deals with these issues of network hangs, making sure that the network communication and handshake is all at the application level is robust. And to update that, we noticed that we know that there are a couple of proto-buffs related changes we need to make. The previous team, when they used Scala PB for protobuf generation, they created some custom code that essentially is preventing us from doing a quick update to the version. So we'll have to work through that and see if we still need those custom pieces, or we could just simply remove those and then use the facilities available in Scala PB library to use and move forward with the latest versions of protobuf and NetE updates. So that's another piece. Once Tomislav is done with the 0926, it's something that he's going to be looking at. So that's where we are on the dependencies. Now, other than that, there are a bunch of small dependencies which we will keep pushing over the next several days to weeks. So that's also going on. So that's what is going on to the code base. On these other things with API and all that, there has not been anything substantively different. Though I know that Dan Conley has been working on some improvements in that space. Let me see what else I want to speak to. So hackathon. we have 150 registrations so far, close to 150, I think 148 or something, on the hackathon. We need more. Please promote the page that we have for the hackathon, RChain Co-op/hackathon. Get it out to all the groups that you are aware of. And again, the dates for the hackathon are November 7th and 8th. The qualifying test is October 31st. And if you're able to contribute questions for that test, please ping me. So that's where we are on the hackathon. I think for the most part, those are the only things I wanted to speak to today. Are there any questions about either the releases or the development work that's ongoing or hackathon or any of the other things that I talked about? All right, over to you, Greg.
No, thanks very much. So we were going to have a demo today, but that's postponed.
Well, I already have Rev in my wallet that I'm voting from, so I could demonstrate a vote right now.
Well, hang on one second. I'll go ahead. Okay, I found the. Okay, I've got it. I can screen share this. So double checking. ADMZ is the top, and
Yep,
OJOP is the bottom.
correct.
Okay.
You're just sending one Rev to each voter.
Yep. Okay, so I will go ahead and screen share.
Cool.
Okay. All right. So what we're doing is we're looking up from the registry the list of voters, which has been stored at this address here. So people can check that the list of voters is in fact at that address. And then we're going to send one Rev, so that this is Revlet measures, right? So one Rev, which should last you a lifetime in terms of the total amount of votes you need. And then we loop over that list and send the Rev. Basically, that's all that's happening in the rest of this code. Any questions before I go ahead and do it? Going once, twice. Here we go. Okay, so if you want to, I'll stop sharing now and I'll let you know. So you want to screen share what you're about to do, Ian?
Okay, so all of the co-op members went through an ID verification and then using this form submitted to the co-op a Rev address to be used in voting. And they're able to go in whenever they like and change this Rev address. Although we've frozen that ability last night just to lock the vote. So everybody who's registered is already registered. This is my voting address. I entered it in this form, and I'm going to go register my vote now. So here's the ballot. I could actually, I think, go to a live version on vote.rchain.coop. Although I'll be switching this over in a minute to MainNet for you all. Okay, here we go. So I'll sign into my MetaMask. It pulls up the agenda, which is stored at this URI. And we've got a friendly help screen to go through. I'm just going through quickly. And I'm gonna do my voting for real. So I'm not sure which node I'm pointed at, but this will take some time to deploy. But that's all it is for voting. My voting's finished. Right now, Greg is putting one rev in everybody's wallet, and I'll redeploy this website in a couple minutes with actually with the new voter list. So
once you redeploy, then the link will just be vote.rchain.coop, right?
yeah, what's happening is, right now I have vote.rchain.coop redirecting to vote testnet, and I just manually went in and told it to vote mainnet for the purpose of our demonstration.
Fantastic. Any questions from folks?
Hey, I'm going to stop sharing and maybe come back once it shows success.
I'll just mention that if there are any questions about how to vote, just click on Voters Guide at the top of that page, and it'll take you to a blog entry that should hopefully give you everything you need, including all of the candidates, the nominees' bios, and other stuff.
All right. So maybe while so Daryl, you go ahead and give the community in review.
Okay. So here is the Community Week in Review for Thursday the 15th till today the 21st. On Thursday, October 15th, the Governance Committee discussed the current ballot status and follow-up tasks for the October 21st voting start date and annual general meeting. The committee discussed the language and necessary changes for the monetary policy item of business and its ballot description. On Friday's Climate Coordination podcast, Jesse Uzelf from the climatefutures.io joined us, and we discussed the new UN climate report, and he demonstrated the use of carbon credits and carbon offsetting using his Climate Futures One Planet DApp. On Saturday's RChat call, meeting attendees discussed the final tasks that need to be completed for voting to start on October 21st. The group confirmed that the RVote GitHub repository is updated with the necessary files to implement the RVote voting DApp on the RChain website. The ballot has been created and testing will start on Monday, October 19th. On Monday's Casper stand-up call, they discussed the generalization of structure types and namespaces. And yesterday in the RChain education call, attendees updated the RVote version in the GitHub repository to match the RChain community version. RVote header and footer were updated with the RChain cooperative logo and trademark. And also yesterday in the communications call, we mainly discussed the AGM happening this week, the blog post for voters, finishing and sending out the newsletter, and the hackathon. And today in the members hangout in Jim's room, Steve Henley did a walkthrough of how to validate your vote on RChain. Attendees also reviewed the meeting log for the newly created RDev co-op meeting on Mondays. And Shushi's update from the Chinese community. Eric Meng wrote a Chinese teaching article on how members participate in the board voting. And Eric posted an article on how RChain has achieved vertical and horizontal scalability. So yeah, that takes it to right now.
Fantastic. Any questions for Daryl? All right. Well, today I think is a really interesting day for me because, my hypothesis was if you build the tools for community self-organization, then it will begin to happen. And I have to say that the community is the one that built the voting DApp. And so that's a very strong indicator that this hypothesis is real, right? So mostly it's about making sure that there's a sense of community and people have, shared goals. And then the platform itself makes it easy enough to construct these kinds of self-organizing capabilities. So I'm very, very excited and proud of the RVote 2020 effort. I think it's fantastic. All right. thanks to everyone. I mean, this is a great day, right? We we have the platform. The platform enables voting, and really a very, very short, certainly by the end of the year, we'll be showing all the scaling and the
Yeah.
last finalized state. I mean,
Pretty exciting.
Yeah,
it's really cool.
Yeah.
So go vote. You can vote as many times as you like until your rev runs out.
Vote early, vote often.
That's right.
My question is, can you vote multiple times?
Yes.
It will only count once, but you
Oh,
can.
okay.
Yeah, as long as Jim's tally is working, it will only count once.
It'll count your latest vote.
Right.
Okay.
So it gives you an opportunity to change your mind as many times.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of good, except that what it's doing is it's eating up your rev, right? So that's why Ian is joking, right?
Well,
Vote often.
that's right. Vote often.
So next thing we could do is make a governance token, which is not rev, right? So you could send something else to the rev address.
Yeah. Now this, well, I've been asked to document how you set up a ballot, but we've been focusing on our use of it. But any community that wants voting on the blockchain,
Yep, they can do it. That's right. They can do it. It's not limited to RChain. It's not limited to the co-op. Any community member inside the co-op can use the app to set up a ballot and get an item of business before the board.
Actually,
no, I'm saying that for Dig Life, we can vote on items that to go before their board.
No, I agree. Any community can use it, but also I was just saying that the nice thing is it doesn't have to be even a it doesn't have to be some official recognized party, right?
I see.
Right. Any community member can also use the application and so therefore what you're really seeing is it's not only a design pattern for collecting decision, right? Collecting will. It's also used for collecting sentiment. And since it's used for collecting sentiment, you could also see this as the backbone for collecting likes on a post.
Yeah, and you can use, if you use the list of registered voters, it can be a referendum that is initiated by a member.
That's correct. That's what I was saying. That's exactly right. But beyond the obvious governance applications, right? So this is like the governance applications are, co-op uses it to gather the will. Community member uses it to create a referendum or to show support for an idea. A different community that's not co-op also uses it for either of those purposes. And then on top of that, you can also, you could say that your ballot is limited to a single post on social media, right? And the addresses are like, love, sad, happy, all the ones that you have with Facebook, and your voter list is your list of followers, right? Who's allowed to like your post or not like your post, right? It's exactly the same design pattern. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right. So like we've already got the shape of what we would hope for the social media piece of the puzzle.
So, and Dan's been moving forward. He's asked for help. I haven't helped him yet. I was working on, I have the documentation to finish. But on the community contract, which is really the group contract, where you can create a group and you can get valid members and they each have a rev address. And it's all set to do for people passing, sending capabilities to each other, and
I took over the screen share just to show the success. So that's a real live website. You know, I typed in vote RChain co-op. I voted. It took a little while to register, but it says vote successfully registered.
There we go. So everybody's got some dust, so they can all vote. So everyone is enfranchised. All right. Well, let me. So unless we're have anything else, we can
Are,
end this.